in 3 hours, we did almost like $6,000.
$6,000 in lemonade in 3 hours.
Lemonade.
Have you seen that YouTube video of the guy that makes like $7,000 a day selling lemonade?
Yeah, I see how he does it too.
And all the commenters like, "There's no way," and you're like,
no,
you're like,
there is.
"No, there is."
There is.
You tried it and you made 12 grand in profit.
Yeah, for that one time.
And you'd never done it. You had no experience.
No, we just watched a lot of videos.
It's crazy because like a lemonade stand is what kids start to make $20 in the summer.
It is.
And so people overlook it. Like I'm too good for that.
I mean, listen, like I will be middle-aged lemonade stand entrepreneur all day long.
Oh yeah.
Because also at the same time, like my kids are involved in it. It's a great weekend gig, but then it's like we've kind of turned it more into this is all we do.
Yeah. What are your startup costs in this business?
It wasn't much. You could technically do this with a muddler and a knife and a cutting board. A lot of corporate events, especially a lot of family events too. They just come in. It's 2-3 hours. It'll be anywhere from minimum of like about $1,000 to $3,000 usually.
Wow.
I've had a lot of people just use it for cocktail hour, for weddings. We'll do that for $500.
Yeah.
Just straight up rental for 4 hours. I drop it off. So.
What advice would you give people wanting to start this business in their market?
Oh, just do it. Stop overthinking it.
Yeah.
Oh, should I do this? Should I do an LLC? Or it's like, no, get a table, get a tent.
Yeah.
And then just post up. Last year we hit about 250.
250,000?
Yes.
At farmers markets?
Yes.
Selling lemonade.
Selling lemonade.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And your margins have to be stupid.
Yes. Yeah.
How big do you think you could get this business?
I think we can get it to $500,000.
Wow.
Like in a year or two.
Hey, John?
Yes. Yeah.
Chris. Good to meet you. Absolutely. Well, I want to learn about your lemonade business.
Oh, I'd love to tell you more about it.
Okay.
Yeah,
How about we sit out here?
Yeah, let's do it.
Well, Don, why don't you tell me about your business?
Well, I know that reached out about the lemonade stand, but we actually, that's just an addition to our current lemonade stand business right now. So we're actually started 3 years ago doing farmers markets.
Okay. Lemonade?
Yeah.
Like fresh?
Lemonade. Yeah, fresh squeezed lemonade, sugar, water, lemon.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it. And then I'm doing it with my kids. I used to have a catering business a long time ago, and then I left that. And, it all really just started from the day I made my kids a fresh squeezed lemonade, and they just went nuts.
So it's literally water, cane sugar, lemons.
Yeah, so ours is like we wedge the lemon, and then we smash it all the way in there, so you get all the oils and everything, and then you put it in the 32-ounce cup, and then we use simple syrup. So so it's like a 1-to-1 ratio.
Oh, so there's no graininess. You don't have to dissolve the sugar.
You know how sweet tea is, like it's not really sweet tea if it's like sugar.
Yeah.
So we put the simple syrup in there. Pump it, shake it with like filtered water.
Okay.
And then that's it. And then we do add some flavors to it too for anybody that wants like strawberry or mango. But we started that up at Frisco Fresh Market. So 3 years ago, and it really just grew.
Really?
Yeah, it was more than, it was supposed to be just a side thing, because my wife and I had our own business, and then we decided to leave it because of this, and then now we're at the Dallas Farmers Market, and we're at Frisco Fresh Market, and then we do caterings, and then we added our cart.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we're expanding that so that we can do weddings, and also just people who want to just rent it out because it's such a big hit. Yeah, like
so you rent out your cart?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so we rent
to entrepreneurs or to people that have an event?
The people that have an event.
Okay.
Yeah, and so we rent it out. And now I've had people already like bartending companies and just other like corporate events like want to reach out and rent it.
Yeah.
And for their event just to kind of fit. Like we're doing like our lowrider show. So any kind of cool. So any kind of those classic car events, it's easier to kind of get in there with that than with just like a tent.
What did you do at your first market in sales and profits?
Oh, profits. Well, we didn't even really count profit like on the first year, so I guess for a first year we probably did maybe like 25,000-30,000.
Wow.
Right. But kind of fast forward to now with 2 markets. Like last year, we hit about 250.
250,000?
Yes.
At farmers markets?
Yes.
Selling lemonade?
Selling lemonade.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And your margins have to be stupid.
Yes. Yeah. They're good now, obviously, like, with overhead, like with, warehouse and everything, because, at that level right there, we can't just do it from home.
Yeah.
Like we used to.
So what do you sell just a plain Jane 32-ounce lemonade for?
$7.
And what's your cost on that?
$1.25.
Wow, including packaging?
Yeah, it's including packaging.
Holy
So we
crap.
have 32-ounce cup and ice. Ice is actually probably one of our biggest costs
Yeah.
because we use emergency ice.
Oh,
So they
yeah.
come out and deliver that. So it's really about $1 a pound that we pay for that. And then it was costing us, yeah, pretty much.
Believe it or not, just because you're watching this doesn't mean you're subscribed to my channel. YouTube's going to show you stuff even if you're not subscribed to it. Over half of people that watch my videos are not subscribed. It would mean the world to me if you just hit subscribe. Thank you so much.
How many lemons go into one lemonade?
One.
One lemon.
Yeah, one
And
lemon.
that costs 20 cents?
Yeah, depending on the season, depending on like what's going on in the world. But limes also, and we also do limes and limeades. And so we do a build out of the Frisco Fresh Market. So we have kind of like a semi-permanent booth over there that we created. And then, it's just really seasonal because it closes for 2 months. And then we also have rain and everything. So technically we really hit that number last year based on like 8 months.
Holy cow. $250,000 in sales in 8 months selling lemonade, most of that profit.
Yeah. So it's kind of, I know it kind of, because.
And this was just supposed to be a little project, help your kids.
Right, because we homeschool our kids too, and so it's a great way. And, our kids are 10, 12, 17.
That's
and
almost
so,
like my kids' age.
Yeah, so then we let them do it, and obviously they can work at 10 years old.
Yeah.
Because of it being a family business.
Yeah.
And it looks really wholesome. It's nice, and then my wife's a graphic designer. So she's the one that did all the packaging and the design and all that. And then in Dallas, we have a horse trailer that we converted into a bar.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So that's the one we bring out there. So it's just kind of.
How do you manage multiple markets on the same day?
My 2 oldest daughters, they work one of them. And then I have a couple that does the Dallas Farmers Market. And then after that, I do anything like any other pop-ups or caterings. But catering's happening during the week. So that's really kind of like our focus right now.
Yeah.
And our big corporate caterings, especially like homeowners associations, school events. Those are great.
Yeah. What does an average market look like for you with regards to revenue, number of cups sold, and profit?
Revenue for Frisco, it used to be higher, but right now we're averaging about like $1,200 to $1,500 a day.
How many hours is that?
That's from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Okay.
And then Dallas, it's going to be like right around $2,500 a day.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so we can do a $25,000 weekend in Dallas.
25,000?
No, 5,000.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
2 days just in Dallas.
Yep, just in Dallas.
What is your booth fee there?
$300
a day?
No,
For total. Wow. That's crazy.
with electricity.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I come in, I drop off the trailer at Friday night, and then the couple comes in, sets it up, works it, and then I restock it again Sunday.
Was there no one else doing lemonade at Frisco, Dallas?
No. That was a surprising thing. I mean, there's a lot of people doing lemonades at festivals. Like it's saturated, in Texas.
Yeah.
And especially with other concession, like food trucks and everything, but nobody really tried. And so we got in.
Oh, man. Do you have protection from the markets, from direct competitors?
No, not really. There's an iced tea vendor at Dallas, and then they do lemonade as well.
Okay.
But not the same way we do.
Yeah.
Not with the fresh squeezed
Okay.
right in front of you, made to order. I mean, that's always the thing with everybody. They'll look at it's like, is it really fresh squeezed? And I just take a lemon and is like,
Yeah.
watch this.
Yeah.
And then it goes into a wedger, then it goes into a smasher. Then we put the sugar in there and then just shake it up.
How'd you come up with a recipe?
We found it on YouTube.
Just online?
Just like, online, just like
Yeah.
everything else,
Have you seen that YouTube video of the guy that makes like 7,000 a day selling lemonade?
Yeah. I see how he does it too.
And all the commenters like, there's no way. And you're like,
no,
you're like,
there is.
no, there is.
There is. It's that, just like our style and the way we do it. That's how we like to do it. Like
Yeah.
he does it differently, then obviously like my experience with like beverage catering, with, before kind of like I brought a lot of that,
Yeah.
into it to make it a lot easier and made my learning curve a little bit less because the only difference is I'm serving lemonade.
Yeah. Where do you get your syrup and your lemons from?
I get it locally from Restaurant Depot
Okay.
and also from Benny Keith if I need to do a big order.
Okay.
And so all I order really is 140 count lemons and then 50-pound bags of sugar.
Yeah.
And then at our warehouse we process it. We wash all the lemons at the warehouse and then we just make 1-to-1 simple syrup. We make probably like 60, 70 gallons of simple syrup at a time.
Oh, so you make your own.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so you just buy 50-pound bags of sugar.
Yep.
Okay, 1-to-1.
Yeah, 1-to-1. So
By weight or volume?
by volume.
Okay.
So I just like to take those.
Cup of water, cup of sugar.
Actually, buckets.
Yeah,
So
sure.
we take the bucket. So here, this much.
Yeah.
Then we put it into one bigger bucket and then stir it up.
Now, do you charge extra for strawberry or for like,
Yes,
do you
yeah,
add
extra
fresh
dollar.
fruit or anything?
No, not fresh fruit.
That just adds
because
complexity, right?
It does add complexity. Also, shelf stable. It's like we don't really want to mess with that too much. And if somebody really just wants fresh lemonade, then that's what they get.
Yeah.
It's like the purees that we have. Yeah, obviously it has like the dyes and everything like that. But we say, look, that's your choice to add that on there.
Yeah.
But if you want just fresh squeezed lemonade, this is it right here.
So in a 32-ounce cup, you got 1 lemon.
Mhm.
How much of your sugar, like how many ounces is
3
that?
ounces. They have 3 ounces.
3 ounces of the sugar,
simple syrup.
simple syrup.
Mhm.
And then how much ice in that cup?
About 1 pound of ice fits in a 32-ounce cup.
A pound of ice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Roughly, give or take.
How many ounces of water are left over after that?
At around 15 ounces. Like
15 ounces.
almost like a water bottle.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like almost 50% ice, 50% drink.
Right.
Yeah.
And so on hot days, people always tell us, like, don't put that much ice. You go, listen, it's going to melt.
Yeah.
And it's just going to go right into it. And then you'll have a cold drink.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, no.
What's the feedback you get?
Awesome.
They love
Yeah,
it?
They love it. And a lot of times, just like same thing to my kids.
Yeah.
Best lemonade I ever had.
Yeah.
And it still drives me it just really, like, it makes me like really just surprises me because
It's simple.
It's so simple.
Well, the
you
best food is, I feel like,
Right.
like the best pizza is flour and yeast and water and a little bit of salt.
Yeah.
The best pizza sauce is crushed tomatoes.
Yes. Yeah.
That's like no salt, no olive oil.
That's it. And then we always make fun of like people that are making like that talk about country time being like lemonade. It's like, if you actually look at the back of what country
There's
time
like
is,
18 ingredients.
right. And then there's nothing in there that's fresh.
Yeah.
And then there's some people at markets that market it as fresh lemonade or
They're
fresh
selling
squeezed
country
lemonade.
time?
Yeah, they're selling country time. They get water out of a hose somewhere. And then the only fresh thing about it is the lemons that they have floating
Yeah.
on top of it. And so listen, people aren't stupid.
Yeah.
So they'll taste ours, they taste theirs, and then theirs is gimmicky. And if there was anybody else, but,
Yeah.
So that's why we really don't care about, we don't really worry about competition. We kind of just stay in our own lane. Like, hey, this is who we are.
Yeah.
And even if there's other fresh squeezed lemonade vendors, then we kind of just still try to
Just do what you can do.
do what we can do, right?
I mean, I went to a market and they were selling fresh lemonade, and I saw them when they were packing up, and it was just gallons of Milo's lemonade from Walmart.
Yep.
But they were selling it for $7.
Yes. Yeah. That's the part right there. It's like, no, we go in to, we just did a festival this past weekend. I just bring bins of lemons,
Mm-hmm.
and then then I have my simple syrup
Yeah.
and then ice. Then I just gotta make sure I have a lot of ice.
Yeah. How much is the crusher, the lemon crusher?
So the wedger, it's a Sunkist wedger. Those run around like $350.
Okay.
And then there's 2 types of smashers. Like they have a pneumatic smasher
Oh,
where you push a button and it just does this
that's
like
cool.
that brings a lot of people in.
Yeah.
So we have that, and we also have like handheld smashers that we just get from Amazon.
Okay.
Yeah, and then those are about $120.
Okay.
But it does the same thing, and then but just doesn't have the same kind of effect.
Right.
Because like you can hear it like in our markets, you can hear it to us. Like and you walk in and you hear the
Sounds like money.
yeah, that's us right there every single time.
What are your startup costs in this business?
It wasn't much, other than the equipment. Probably about like $1,500. That we spent a lot more on R&D.
Mm-hmm.
Like buying, like, hey, what decor works?
Yeah.
Everything works. And my wife's very like big on, decor
Yeah.
and just the look, aesthetic and everything. So we spent a lot on that. But as far as just from an operational standpoint, it didn't take much.
Yeah.
And then that was just to make it easy. You could technically do this with a muddler and a knife and a cutting board. But
Yeah.
if you have volume, then it's
Muddler is in one of those.
yeah, just one of those that you can do by hand.
Yeah.
But if you're doing the kind of volume that we're doing, you'll have arthritis after a few weeks.
Creators are moving their podcast to Beehive, and I want to tell you why. So if you're running a newsletter on one platform and a podcast on another, that's 2 dashboards and 2 subscriber lists that didn't even know the other one existed. But Beehive will host podcasts natively now, and you can import your show in minutes. So every time you drop an episode, your email list will get notified. Or when someone finds the podcast, they can just join the newsletter from the same page. Also, you can sell digital products and coaching sessions through Beehive and pay 0% commissions on all of it. Then you just connect everything to Claude through Beehive's MCP tool, not as confusing as it sounds, and Claude will see your real engagement data and help you plan content around what your audience actually clicks on. One platform, everything connected, nothing skimmed off the top. That's beehive.com/Chris. Use code Chris30 for 30% off your first 3 months. And also, they're not telling anyone what it is yet, but Beehive's summer release event is on July 16th, and it's worth clearing your calendar for. So RSVP for that at beehive.com/summer-release-2026.
What was the best market you ever did?
We did. It wasn't even a market. It was like a pop up.
Okay.
We did the eclipse.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like
a couple years ago.
Right. So we just posted up on it was a weekday.
But where were you? Where did you?
We were in the city for the city of Irving.
Okay.
They have like a plaza out there for special events.
Okay.
And literally, we just went through in 3 hours. We did almost like $6,000.
$6,000
Yes.
in lemonade in 3 hours.
Lemonade.
And that's like $5,000 profit.
Yeah. So and then that.
Why can we have an eclipse every day?
Oh my gosh, I know. But right now it's like, look, April's been horrible as far as like weather.
Yeah.
But now, like last week, it was good. So now we're looking forward to all of these. So our markets are set. Now we're just trying to get more festivals, more and just more catering.
Yeah.
And catering is really where it's,
What are the unit economics of catering like? Like what's an average catering order?
I'll just give you an example. I had one for $2,900, and all I
Wow.
did was 300. And they're pre-batched or like pre-made because
Yeah.
that's what they wanted. So we made pre-made lemonades at $5 a cup. So by the time you include travel, like we call them squeezologists. So those are our servers.
Yeah.
Travel, service fee, bar rental,
Okay.
everything that came out to like $2,900 for a 4-hour event.
Jeez.
That's what we're trying to
Yeah.
get
I'm
a lot
sure.
of, because a lot of these, a lot of corporate events, and especially a lot of family events too, they just come in. It's 2-3 hours, and then it'll be anywhere from minimum of like about $1,000 to $3,000 usually per
Wow.
catering. Yeah.
How do you find customers like that?
Right now I'm working on just SEO.
Okay.
Like that's where it's really getting. We're pushing it at our market, saying that we're catering.
Mhm.
We had a lot of graduation. We really pushed graduation this year.
Yeah.
So a lot of graduation events, and that worked out
What do you
really well.
What do you use Facebook Marketplace for?
We use it for the I'm pushing our rentals.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm trying to get people to, and then also throw in lemonade with it.
Yeah.
It's like if they're gonna get the cart, said, listen, why don't you just get the lemonade with it as well? So we've already kind of booked like several of that because we'll do that for $500.
Yeah.
Just straight up rental for 4 hours. I drop it off. I've had a lot of people just use it for cocktail hour, for weddings.
Yeah.
So I've already booked those, like several of those, and that one's going to be easy. I'll just drop it off at the venue and let whoever bartending company to have use it.
You don't need any manpower for that.
No, that's it.
What do you
It's
charge
just
for that?
$500.
Jeez.
Yeah.
For a day?
Well, yeah, through the if they're getting us through a Facebook Marketplace.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
kind of like my special right now.
Yeah.
But normally there's a $250 like delivery and pickup fee
Okay.
along with that as well.
And do you get good business from Facebook Marketplace?
Yeah. Facebook Marketplace is great.
Do you boost your posts at all?
No.
You don't even need to.
No. We just kind of, I get a lot of it too between what I post on Facebook Marketplace and my network,
Yeah.
on my friends.
Yeah.
So I've gotten a lot of that. But this is the first time I've really pushed the rentals,
Mhm.
on it, and then we're getting it through also with our website.
Yeah. It's crazy because like a lemonade stand is what kids start, to
It
make
is.
$20 in the summer.
It is.
And so people overlook it,
It is.
Like,
Like they try to look at other things that
like
are
I'm
bigger.
too good for that.
Yeah.
No,
No.
that's not-
I mean,
yeah.
listen, like I will be middle-aged, like a lemonade stand entrepreneur,
Yeah.
all day long.
Oh, yeah.
Because also at the same time, like my kids are involved in it, and then they see what it takes to do it. They're getting really good at it.
Oh yeah.
And so I'm waiting for my boys to just be strong enough and old enough to just keep this going,
I'm sure.
because, it's a great weekend gig, but then, it's like we've kind of turned it more into like, this is all we do.
Yeah. How big do you think you could get this business?
We could probably get it to, I'd like to get it to about at least, I think we can get it to $500,000
Wow.
like in a year or two, because we also have partnerships with concession companies.
Mm.
And we are in like several like venues, that we work with, like
That's
especially
cool.
yeah. And so we're at like a couple of convention centers, and we're gonna go into a big push for graduations. So there's a lot of those.
Yeah, I
Once
mean,
it kind of like
imagine being at like the American Airlines Center, or
yeah,
is that kind of the
that's
goal?
it's yes, exactly like
Cowboy
with
Stadium.
Cowboys, Rangers, everything like that. That would be the goal. I mean, we're working towards right now. The goal is by September to have our first retail
Mm-hmm.
like storefront. It's just a matter of where that's going to be. You know, Frisco seems to be the best bet
Yeah.
for that. So,
What advice would you give people wanting to start this business in their markets?
oh, just do it. Stop overthinking it.
Yeah.
You know, there's so many people that, you know, like I'll go on Facebook Marketplace or Facebook lemonade groups, and everybody just there's so many questions. How should I do this? How should I do this? Should I do an LLC? Or it's like, no, just get a stand.
Yeah.
You know, get a table, get a tent.
Yeah.
You know, like get your recipe right,
Yeah.
and then just post up.
It's funny because we have a farmer's market here
Mhm.
right around the corner. And I was going to film a video this Saturday of me doing something different, but I procrastinated. I didn't order the stuff in time. And now I kind of want to do that over here, if nothing else for the content,
Yeah,
and just see how
yeah,
much money I can make.
Yeah, just really just post up if if they let you, you know, because like a lot of times you have to go through an application
Yeah,
process.
but it's like,
every-
it's such a small town. And
okay, yeah, do it.
my wife
There's-
has been a vendor a bunch of times. So.
Okay, listen, even right now, like Texas has a lemonade law
Mm.
where if you're under 18, like you don't have to have homeowners association permission. We don't have
Wow.
to have health permits. So this summer I'm going to have my kids with a lemonade stand, just post up
Yeah.
at a park in front of the house.
Heck yeah.
You know, and then just do that and then also see if anybody says anything, because they really can't, because they passed this law like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I
How
want to
did
do that.
How did you land on $7?
Just from research, what everybody else is doing. And then also at the same time, we want that to be, we want to have good value.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's like $7 for big 32-ounce lemonade.
Yeah.
And then that's kind of like, that's our anchor price.
Okay.
You know, and that one we won't move at all.
Are they foam cups
No, they're kind of like, they're deli cups.
with
They're
the
like
lids?
yes.
And you like
Uh-huh.
punch a hole in it and put a
Yes.
straw in
Yep.
it? Okay, I've
Mhm.
seen
Yeah,
that.
So yeah, they're the
They don't look 32 ounces, right?
no,
But-
they're 32 though. Yeah.
But
they're
they look
32.
smaller than that. If
Yeah,
I'm
you can
picturing
hold
it
them. Yeah,
right.
you can hold it with your hand.
Yeah.
So they're like translucent ones. They're kind of like the ones that you put soup in.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, for to go.
Okay.
That's really what the intention was for it.
yeah.
And so that's why when you cap it and you shake it, it's really you get a
Oh.
good shake around it. Then you punch it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you get much pushback on price?
No, we don't.
Wow, you could
That's
charge
really-
more. I mean, if you wanted.
Right, and then even at the partner venues that we have, we charge 10
Wow.
because we have to give a commission.
Oh, like
You know,
20%
to the venue.
or 30?
Sometimes 40.
Wow.
Right. But
crazy.
I'm really just going for volume on that
Sure.
more than anything else, you know. And then
Yeah.
we have our partner does the labor for it, and
Okay.
then we do the product,
Okay.
and then the brand.
Man, is there anything I could have asked you that I didn't or should have? Anything cool about the business that I missed out on?
You know, so we have like lemonade's part of our concession company, and then based on a video you posted last year, so we started bananas, frozen
Oh,
bananas. Yep.
awesome. Yeah.
And then we don't do it that much because it's hard to do both.
Yeah.
But I do it for catering.
Yeah.
And the first time I showed up, it was a party trade show. Some lady decided, hey, I want to do, let's do it. We did it for 1,500 people. We did frozen bananas, and then we also have these apples that are apple nachos.
Mm-hmm. Ooh,
Yeah.
I've seen those. Yeah.
Yep. And then we did it for that much with everything on there, 19,000.
19,000?
Yeah.
Is what
That
you
we
made?
charged. No, we charged them.
Holy crap. And
Yeah.
you'd never done that before?
No, that was the first time we served frozen bananas. I mean, it was, and we had so many left over, you know, because we froze
Yeah.
so many for 1,500 people.
Well, that's the brilliant part is unlike lemons, they don't go
No.
bad.
No, they just kind of roll over, you know. So we get it, we wrap it, you know. Same thing like those people out in California.
Yeah.
Yeah. and
How much of
then
that was profit of your
A
19,000?
lot.
12?
Probably, yeah. By the time everything was said and done, because we spent a lot on labor,
Okay.
you know. But then the great thing about it too was we were supposed to be up front, but then now they put us as dessert, so we were like 7 to 9, and a lot of people had already left, you know,
Mm.
because they came in to eat, drink,
Yeah.
and then we were the dessert portion of it, and then they just like.
So how did that come about? Like you got a lead for lemonade and then you just thought to sell bananas to them instead or what?
Yeah. So again, they're like,
wanna
"Hey, what
try
else?"
it?
Right. They were like, "What else do you do?" It's like, "Hey,
Bananas.
we can do frozen bananas."
Yeah.
And they were intrigued because, you know, nobody does it really. I don't ever
Yeah.
see it around here.
Yeah.
Everybody tells me everybody does it, but
You don't
I've
see it.
never seen it.
So if you watch me on YouTube, you notice I sell these $19 business plans. They're 30 pages. They're awesome. But you can get all of them combined for only $5 a month. So check that out at the link in the description. In addition to getting $300 worth of free business plans every month for the videos I post about, we also post exclusive videos not available to the public, only to you, for $5 a month. Cancel whenever. We also give you priority replies to your comments. You'll have a little badge by your username on YouTube, so we'll see you. And it's just a cool way to say, hey, I'm more serious about this than everyone else watching these videos. And so usually when that's the case, you try it and it doesn't go well. Because like someone already tried it, it's just not a good fit for the area. Maybe it's only a beach thing, but you tried it and you made 12 grand in profit.
Yeah, for that one time.
And you'd never done it. You had no experience.
No, we just watched a lot of videos, you know, and then trial and error, you know, what kind of stick goes in there the best.
Yeah.
You know, and then, you know, and just like my wife did, then my kids did like about 900 like bananas, and then storing those,
Yeah.
you know, was also difficult and everything, but we got it out there.
Did you get those from Restaurant Depot?
No, those I got from Benny Keith,
Okay.
because Benny Keith is like a restaurant supply.
Okay.
And then you can get more, like, you know, the kind of bananas you want. Like, I don't want, it was like a certain brand, you know, I can't even remember it, but you tell them like at this stage,
Yeah.
that's the one I want, the banana.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Right. So then they'll give you those. So then by the time you get it, put it in there. And then, yeah, even just the warmers and
Yeah.
everything. Yeah, we had to get like 4 of those.
So if someone's watching this and they don't want to do lemonade, they want to do bananas, what advice do you have for them?
Same thing, just do it.
Yeah.
You know, especially like watching your channel, watching everybody else. Like, yeah, that's where I get all my ideas.
Yeah.
We just sit there and go, yeah, we can do that.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like within our, you know, our framework
Yeah.
of what we do. So it's just something like to add to it. But banana is actually even easier because, like you said, it's not even a, you know, right. You know, it's like as soon as it's frozen,
Yeah.
you're good. Chocolate's easy, and then the
Just
toppings
melt
are
the
just-
chocolate in a warmer.
Yeah.
Nuts,
that's
toppings,
it. Yeah, toppings,
dump it in the
sprinkles.
chocolate.
Yeah.
You kind of just like
yeah.
pile the stuff
mhm,
on
yeah,
it.
just do that.
And it
yeah.
hardens.
Yeah, and then
$8.
those things, right? Yes. Yeah, we also sold it. We did sell it one time too at an Oktoberfest. It didn't go as well, but
Yeah.
yeah, we tried it anyway. Good. We used leftover bananas from that catering, so
Oh,
it's
man.
still even profited even more on that too. So, yeah,
We're doing bananas on Saturday morning.
seriously, yeah.
Or
do it.
lemonade.
Yeah.
At the
I mean, 'cause
Lucas Farmers
listen,
Market.
right now, I mean, people go nuts over it. It's amazing. It's just like I said, so simple.
Which is easier to sell on a day like this?
Lemonade.
Okay.
Lemonade's easy. You have to explain bananas,
Yeah.
you know. But then if you'd had both, then that would
Ooh.
kind of like, yeah, because it doesn't really take up that much space.
Yeah.
You know, because we're gonna do more bananas this year, and we're just gonna buy one of those like freezers that you get from Buc-ee's.
Mm-hmm.
You know, those little cooler ones.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, and I can just, you know, stuff about like maybe 50, 60 of them in there, and then have a bigger freezer.
Yeah.
So we can go mobile on it really pretty easy.
Yeah.
The only thing is the power that you need to keep the warmer,
Oh, yeah.
chocolate warmer going. But if you just had one of those little battery packs, or even just a silent generator,
Yeah.
yeah, you could do it.
You can even get like a chocolate fountain.
Yeah,
You want it
yeah,
and just
if
dip it
people
in
just
there?
Go, yeah, seriously, it goes. It's so easy.
Yeah.
You know, like it's just a matter of like just doing it. You know, I mean, even for us, like, you know, what else can we add?
Yeah.
You know, because we're already doing it.
That is amazing. Don, I'm like, my mind is blown. This is awesome. Where can
thanks, man.
people find you and your business?
BooBoosLemonade.com.
B.
BOOBOOS.
Okay.
Lemonade.com.
Okay.
And then on Instagram, booboos.lemonade.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Don.
Hey, Chris, I appreciate
Yeah.
it.
If you like this content, please share with a friend, hit a like or a comment below, and we'll see you next time on the Koerner Office.